So today's video is answering a question from a viewer. Just bought a sawmill and asked, where do I find logs and how much do I pay for them? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So it's kind of a gloomy Monday here. You can see the puddles behind me. It's kind of been on and off raining all day. And gonna do a video today that's one of my favorite types to do. I've mentioned this in the past. It comes right out of the community. Got all those emails from you guys over the past week. If you remember last week, if you saw last week's video, I put out to email me with your contact information. We do a little bit of networking with some leads for business, stuff like that. You go back, watch last week's video if you're interested in that. But I got a ton of responses, just about caught up on emailing all you guys back. I tried to get everybody. Really appreciate all the feedback and seeing where you guys are coming from and the equipment you're running and what kind of business you're running. It's pretty neat. But anyway, I had somebody email me. And, just bought a sawmill, hasn't even sawed anything yet, and the question was, how do I buy logs and what do I pay for them? It's a pretty broad question, so I'm going to try to not be too long-winded like I can oftentimes be, and give you the broad strokes of my experience. There's a couple different avenues you can go down to skin this cat. The first thing I will say though is, and I'm not trying to be a smart ass when I say this, and it's not purposely directed at the person that asked the question, just as a general statement. Don't buy a sawmill if you don't know where you're going to get logs from. Likewise, don't buy a sawmill if you don't know where you're going to sell your lumber, or if you're using it for personal use, what you're going to do with the lumber. I always get people that come here and saw a couple logs for them, and then they say to me, oh, I've always wanted to get a sawmill, and now I see my logs turn into lumber, I think I'll go out and buy one. And they'll ask a couple questions. What are you going to do with this wood I just sawed for you? Well, I don't really know. Probably do projects around the house or something. I said, well, how long will this last you? Oh, this will last me a pretty long time. And inevitably, we always come to the conclusion, it doesn't really pay to buy a sawmill, because in a weekend, you're going to saw 5 years worth of lumber, and then what are you going to do? So anyway, I'm getting off on a little bit of a tangent there, but you kind of always want to have a plan in front of you when you're buying or selling stuff. So I got this nice stack of logs behind me here, some pine, and that giant oak there, that's going to be a video coming up here if I ever get around to it. I got some nice red oaks behind that. So a nice pile of logs here. I'm going to tell you where this came from in a second. But probably the most straightforward way, well, the most straightforward way is if you have your own timber, which I do. I have a good amount of timber. But if you have your own timber, you're probably not asking the question, because that's pretty self-evident. Harvest your own timber, you got logs. The second most straightforward way, you hook up with a logger. Depending on where you're at, you might have loggers around every corner. You may not have any loggers in your area. It all depends. Chances are you have somebody somewhere, you just have to track them down. That is probably the most straightforward way to go. You got to find them, see what they're cutting, what kind of timber they're in at the time, and if it works, what you're looking for. And you just have to feel them out. See if there's somebody you can work with. See if you guys can come to a deal on price, species, quantity, grade, because those are all things to consider. A big time outfit is not going to want to mess around selling a couple logs here and there. They're going to want to sell by the truckload more than likely. They may not want to cut to the specs you have. It may not work for them. So all those things need to be discussed, and you need to be clear up front. And especially if you're just starting out in the sawmill business, you got to be a little bit humble. If it's a logger with some experience and they're willing to talk to you, kind of they're in the driver's seat, so to speak. Let them kind of tell you what they have. Basically with anything I'm about to tell you, don't be too pushy. I mean, you don't want to let somebody walk all over you with any business deal, but you know, be respectful of other people's time and what they're offering you, and just see if you can meet in the middle and come up with something, you know, that works for everybody. So assuming you can make a deal with a logger, well, there you go, problem solved. What if that doesn't work for you because there's just nobody that's willing to work with you, or they don't have what you're looking for, or they want too much for the wood? A host of different reasons that's not an option. Well, the next place people are tempted to go is tree services. If you can find a tree service that works for you, more power to you. I've worked with a lot of them over the years. And once again, I'm not trying to be a smart ass. I'm not trying to put anybody down, but those guys tend to beat to their own drum. And what they're looking at is a little bit different than what a sawmill owner is looking at. They see wood as chop and drop and on to the next one. They just want it gone. They seem to love cutting stuff up into firewood-sized pieces and running stuff through chippers. And you can try to explain to them what's a good saw log and what's not. And chances are you're gonna see beautiful walnuts cut into firewood, and you're gonna see a bunch of scraggly stuff that they're gonna try to sell you. I don't know why. It's been my experience. It just seems that it's very hard to find somebody. I've had a few, and I've bought some really nice loads of logs from guys, but it seems like when they have something nice, they think it's absolutely made out of gold and they want an absolute fortune, more than the market dictates. And on the same hand, when they have a bunch of junk, twisted firewood, they want you to take it and they think you're a disposal. So those are all issues that need to be worked out. And once again, if you can make a deal, if you have somebody you can work with and it fits what you're looking for, so be it. The other big thing I will say with tree service guys, where are they typically cutting their wood? It's not out in the middle of the forest. Yeah, it's in somebody's backyard. Well, think about what that means. There's probably every bird feeder, sign, clothesline, who knows what, nailed into those trees. Been there, done that. Sometimes you get just big, beautiful logs that are worth taking the chance on. By all means, go for it. But a lot of times you're gonna buy yourself a lot of headaches with that stuff. So it's not my preferred method of buying logs. The other issue when you're dealing with tree services, now some of these guys are very well equipped and they can deliver the logs, they have ways to handle them and get them to you. So that's not an issue. Sometimes you're gonna have to haul your own logs. How are you gonna tackle that problem? For me, I mean, if you guys have been watching the channel, you know my setup. I don't really have a problem hauling logs, so you know, it's not an issue no matter how I buy my logs. I'm pretty well covered with that. That's not gonna be practical for most people. In fact, I would say don't get into trucking. It's a real pain in the butt, but it is what it is. You don't need a truck like that. When I started out, I just had a dump trailer with a 8,500 pound winch and one of those, what's the word I'm looking for? Not a pulley, snatch block that I could rig sideways, and I'd pull the logs with a set of steel ramps up the side of the trailer, and it was slow and it wasn't really that much fun, but it would get the job done. So if you're creative, you can figure out ways to haul logs, and obviously if you know whoever you're buying from has a piece of equipment there, that makes your life a lot easier. But I really don't do a whole lot of buying from either of those groups. I'll occasionally buy from a tree service, you know, property maintenance type person, and you know, occasionally buy something from loggers. But typically what I like to do is just make private deals, and I'll be completely honest, I don't really go searching for them. They usually come and find me. Now that's the advantage of being in business for 16 years, I've developed a lot of relationships with people over the years. You know, they know me, and so they come to me. But you can kind of do the same thing by kind of looking at what's out there, you know, driving around, meeting people, you know, seeing who's doing what, stuff like that. You know, use your connections, look online, look on Facebook, Craigslist, stuff like that. But basically what I like to do, like for instance, these logs here, they all come from one guy. He's a local farmer. He was clearing the edge of a field to make more field, and he had to take down all these logs. So he called me up and said, hey, I'm taking down these logs, do you want them? And went and looked at them, gave him my specs on what I was looking for in the pine and the hardwood. He took them down, cut them, drug them out, piled them up. I went through them, scaled them, said, okay, this is what you got here. This is what I'm willing to pay you. I marked the ones I was taking. I was very clear on what I wasn't taking, which he burns firewood, so for him that was fine. And we made a deal we both agreed on, paid him, took the logs, good. I'm happy with what I got because I basically got to see it and pick it, and he's happy with what he got because he recouped some of the cost of clearing the land. So that's how I prefer to deal, is person to person. You know, just make a private deal, you know, that both parties can agree on. And sometimes you're going to walk away, sometimes it won't work, either because the wood's not good enough or, you know, they're not going to be happy with what you're offering. But hey, that's the nature of business. Which brings us to part two of the question. How much should you pay? Well, that's also a good question that I can't give you a definitive answer to. Basically, it's like anything else, any other product you're going to buy or sell. How much money do you want to make on it? How much money can you make on it? Start there and work backwards. So whatever product you're intending to saw out of this, whether it be something you're going to sell to somebody, or even if you're going to use it for your own use, you basically got to figure it the same way, because you know, there's ultimately a value to whatever you're cutting out of this. So you got to figure what that is. Then you got to figure your cost to run the mill, your cost for the mill, what your cost is. Don't work for free. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to work for free, even if you're doing it for your own use. You know, as a hobby, your time is worth something, so you got to figure that in. So get all your costs baked in, add that up, you know, subtract it from your end use, and then figure out what's left to pay for the logs, and that's roughly how I do it. You know, it's easy for me to say because I've been doing it for a long time. I actually know what product these pine logs are going to be sawed into. I know what I'm selling that for. So that's my basis. You know, I roughly know my costs on overhead on everything. So that gives me a good starting point on what I can pay for these logs and be profitable. Sometimes you are shooting in the dark because you don't ultimately know. Logs are kind of an unknown. You don't know exactly what you're going to get out of them. You don't know, you know, what grade they're going to yield, stuff like that. You know, is there rot inside? Is there metal? Stuff like that. So you have to be conservative. You have to give yourself some leeway because you don't want to end up upside down in a deal, especially when you're doing all the work involved in this business. You know, it's not easy to turn this stuff into lumber. So you don't want to do it for free or lose money at it. So that's the basics on pricing that I would give for anything. Maybe at some point in the future we'd talk more about pricing products and stuff in general, but that's the broad overview. It's just start at the end and work backwards. That's what I do with every product, whether it be flooring or paneling or rough lumber. You know, I figure what I can sell it for, and then I just work backwards till I get to a number I'm happy with, that I'm working for what I feel is a fair wage. And then basically you take that figure and you try to make a deal. Then if it doesn't work, you know, then you got to walk away from it because you're not going to overpay. And on the same hand, you don't want to cheat somebody. You know, I have a very good reputation around here, I feel like, with my customers and with people I've bought stuff from. You know, I try to be fair to everybody. I don't like to gouge people when I'm selling stuff. and I don't want to rip people off when I'm buying something from them. So you try to find that middle ground that's, you know, good business for everybody, is the bottom line there. But I can't tell you numbers. I can't tell you you should pay X number for a log, because it's so variable. You know, from me to the next guy down the road, you know, costs are different, all that stuff. So, and products are different too. You know, are you selling pallet lumber, or are you selling, you know, finished molding? It's going to take two different types of logs. It's going to, you know, two obviously way different price points on the finished end. So there's too many variables. But, you know, start thinking like that, you know, doing the math in your head. That's how I come up with prices. Well, my battery died. One thing I was going to add, I do buy on the Doyle scale. There's 3 different scales, at least that I know of: Doyle, Scribner, International. I've always bought Doyle since I started. The one thing I've realized over the years, Doyle is very favorable to the sawmill when it comes to small logs. I do end up buying a lot of smaller logs, 10, 14 inches, stuff like that. And what I've realized over the years is, I'm not afraid to say the sawmill needs that advantage when it comes to the little stuff. Just, you know, the time it takes you to process it, you don't really get very high value lumber out of it, and just everything involved is a little bit more difficult. So I've always felt that that little bit of advantage on the small logs, the scale in the mill's favor, is kind of a advantage the sawmill needs. At least, you know, I like to think so, because like I said, this is a lot of work in this business, and you know, you give yourself a little bit of an advantage. It seems like on big stuff like that, it's a wash. It pretty much saws right out even. You know, that I don't want to say you're cheating anybody, but on the small logs, it usually works. You saw a little bit over scale. So not afraid to tell you that. But that's just the way I've always bought, and it seems to work out pretty well. So I figured I'd give you that little tip too. Other than that, I think that's about all I got on this one. So hopefully I wasn't too long-winded, and I don't know if you guys got any questions, let me know in the comments. But thanks for watching. Catch you next time.